Absolutely riveting information from Bob Cohen and Eric Nadler. We're going to take phone calls next hour with both of them, but when I come back, more to talk about on Coast to Coast AM. Bob, let's pick up this story about these germs being stored somewhere in South Africa.
Well, George, I was saying, what emerged after the anthrax attacks was that South Africa never actually destroyed its germ warfare stocks. It was still a stockpile out there, and it was in control of people who were supposedly affiliated with a right-wing international network. Some have called this the Order of the Rose. We also do know for a fact that the South African regime had close ties with groups in the United States, and particularly this one very strange, another dead scientist, a fellow by the name of Larry Ford, who was a California gynecologist. He actually
Weird.
Had clients. Some of these clients are pretty famous: Bianca Jagger, Margot Hemingway. But Larry Ford was an eccentric Mormon doctor, but he had a dark side. He was moonlighting for the South African program, bringing over all kinds of germs. A lot of people have claimed that Larry Ford had CIA connections. And basically, Larry Ford in 2000 blew his brains out.
Another one.
Yeah, with a shotgun. And basically the cops were responding to this, and he lived in Irvine, a very nice neighborhood in Irvine, California there. And the police were responding to this suicide, and they got a call for an FBI informant who features in the film. And they were warned, don't go in there. There's a biowar germ stash hidden away and weapons thing. Just be very careful. So the FBI and the feds and the local police evacuate the whole neighborhood and go in there with hazmat teams, and they discovered hundreds of canisters of germs that they pulled away, and then they dug up the backyard, and there was a whole explosive and weapons cache as well. Now, some people have started to look into who was Larry Ford. The local detective in Irvine, California, started digging around before the FBI came in and said, we're taking over. And basically have sealed pretty much everything. We don't know what was taken away, who Larry Ford was working for. But what has emerged, and some journalists, including ourselves, have looked into this, well, he was connected with a right-wing supremacist, white supremacist group. He had dealings with groups in Nevada. There was talk about anthrax in a gold mine outside of Henderson, Nevada, and links to these shadowy right-wing groups. So a lot of stories out there, very little sort of hard evidence. We tried digging around a lot. We did manage to get hold of Larry Ford's FBI file, which was pretty much 90% redacted on the national security grounds. So that tells you something.
Have you heard about the story also of a James Patrick Riley from Biofem Pharmaceuticals? And apparently he was shot.
Well, that was Larry Ford's partner. So Larry Ford and Riley were partners, and they had this little biotech firm. It was involved in developing a drug that had something to do with HIV that could help prevent, supposedly, HIV in women. And they're doing all their research where, of all places, South Africa. And one of the strange things that Larry Ford was up to, he was shipping bottles and bottles of amniotic fluid taken from pregnant black women in South Africa, and shipping it back to the United States disguised as wine. Now, what was that all about?
Why?
Well, we don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions about what Larry Ford was up to. But, we did talk to Dr. Death, and we asked him, well, did you know Larry? And he said, yeah, Larry's a wonderful good fellow. He used to come over here, jump on an airplane, and show up with vials of all kinds of wonderful germs that he said all kinds of things.
Wonderful germs. And they're in a different world, those people, aren't they?
Absolutely. And the FBI informant basically says that, he was around Ford when he was boasting that he developed an ethnic weapon. So many unanswered questions about all this, but basically it comes down to this world of germ warfare, which is just so full of secrets and a lot of stuff that people don't want to come out, because at the end of the day, George, this is the subversion of the life sciences. The sciences are supposed to do good, find cures, help humanity. And actually what they're doing with germ warfare, they're turning the life sciences into the death sciences.
And I have to assume that they have things that would defy our imagination.
Well, technological advances in biomedical research have been breathtaking, and the germ warriors have taken full advantage of all the new techniques from genetic engineering to nanotechnology. One of the more interesting recent news events your audience will be interested in is in California. A local group finally got an answer to their FOIA request that they had filed to find out what was going on at Lawrence Livermore Laboratories, a government contractor, national security facility there. And they actually got information that they were using recombinant DNA techniques on select agents. That's everything from anthrax to all kinds of bad germs. We're not sure what they are, but the term select agents means it's dangerous stuff. And the CDC found out about this and ordered them to stop those experiments, which were illegal. It is illegal to do recombinant DNA research. And the fact that this has come out, they put out a press release, this little group in California, and it got absolutely no play. Like, this is one of those stories that is across the line that the mainstream media absolutely refuses to deal with. Absolute government confirmation that a government laboratory was doing illegal work with select agents. That's dynamite stuff. It's front-page material. It doesn't exist in our media.
Let's talk about these microbiologists now who have been dying on this planet for a number of years. How did you two start putting the puzzle together?
Well, there are internet lists that go up to 40 names. You just type in dead microbiologists and you'll see all the names. And it seemed to us an interesting exercise to, separate the wheat from the chaff. Who were major players? Who had suspicious deaths? Was there anything to this? I mean, this phenomenon was such that the New York Times magazine did an article on it and said these deaths, though unusually high, some people said as much as 40, 50 since the 2001 attacks, the Times said it was within the realm of a statistical probability. So that was their answer to it. But we looked at a couple of leading cases. Ivan's was the latest, maybe the greatest. David Kelly was certainly a nice piece of business. I forget if we covered this, but the basic thing in the Kelly case is he is said to have slit his wrists and taken an overdose of pills. And the forensic details are such that experts have written to British newspapers, respected surgeons, vascular surgeons, say the artery he's supposed to have cut would not have caused that bleeding. We interviewed people who said the body of Kelly was moved between the time they discovered it. Jeez. We spoke to the people who discovered the body, and they talked about the discrepancies in the official police report. And the more telling than anything was the police admission to a member of Parliament that there were no fingerprints on the knife that Kelly allegedly used.
So after he died, he just dusted them off, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He just dusted them off. So basically, Kelly was a great dead scientist. And another one that made the book and the film is Vladimir Pasechnik, who was the leading Soviet defector who came to England, defected in Paris. And Kelly went over there, and they got him back to England, and Kelly did the whole debriefing. And Pasechnik basically revealed that the Soviets had an unbelievably dangerous, illegal germ warfare program for decades that was hidden within a vast network of front medical operations. They had done horrible, horrible things with